It's not just about adding years to your life. It's about adding clear, calm, motivated presence. To the years you have left, I know what the standard advice sounds like. Take this supplement. Try this complex diet. Meditate for an hour a day. It feels like homework. It feels overwhelming. When you're already battling the low hum of anxiety, the kind that surfaces when the house is too quiet, or the kind that steals your focus, complexity is the enemy. I'm a physician. I see the results of stress and mental overload daily. But before medicine, I was a person managing a demanding life and navigating my own mental fatigue. I learned that the fastest, safest route to deep calm, reliable memory, and steady motivation doesn't require a prescription or an expensive retreat. It requires sensory discipline. Want to know the secret? It's not just what you do, it's how you curate the world around you. Small adjustments to light, sound, posture, and visual clutter can affect your emotional stability, focus, memory, and sleep faster than almost any medication I could prescribe. A specific steady breath restores calm, faster than trying to force your mind quiet. A quiet room, free of visual noise, allows your memory to retrieve names and facts instantly. This isn't about magic. It's about leveraging neurobiology to regain control. You deserve to wake up feeling lighter. You deserve to feel safe and autonomous when you're alone. You deserve that satisfying feeling when the name you need isn't frustratingly stuck on the tip of your tongue. It's just there. We're going to talk about a Japanese ritual to reduce mind chatter, why silence in the room sharpens the mind, and the simple 3-minute sequence that restores calm faster than trying to hold a traditional meditation posture. Seriously, we are aiming for less noise, more peace, more clarity. Dardabratso, the overload epidemic. When your home steals your focus, I see the common mistake constantly. You feel scatterbrained, so you try to push harder. You stack appointments. You try to organize clutter while the television runs in the background. You feel overwhelmed, so you scroll through your phone to relax. The result? Cognitive debt. Imagine your brain like a power grid. Every visual distraction, every background noise, every unmade decision represented by a pile of papers. It all draws power. When you hit 60, that grid's reserve capacity isn't what it used to be. We need to be deliberate about what we allow to plug in. This is why a cluttered kitchen raises anxiety. And a constantly noisy background, TV, radio, actively worsens working memory. You're asking your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for focus and memory retrieval, to constantly filter non-essential input. It gets tired. It rebels. It gives you brain fog. Let me tell you about Sarah. She was sharp, motivated, and successful, but hit a wall of anxiety around 65. She started forgetting simple words and felt jittery every evening. We ran tests. Physically, she was fine. Mentally, she was drowning in her environment. Her living room was filled with small objects, bright patterns, and the perpetual buzz of a cable news channel. I told her, "We are not treating your memory yet. We are treating your environment." The shift was immediate and profound. We created an intentional, anti-anxiety corner space at home. This is where we start. Jagtir, mental noise and order, the clutter that steals memory. Your visual field is a direct pipeline to your nervous system. Chaos outside means chaos inside. Order outside promotes order inside. The clutter that steals memory isn't just the big stacks of magazines. It's the visual overload of small, unnecessary things, the vibrant patterns that demand attention, the confusing wires, and the overly bright, cold lights. The Japanese ritual to reduce mind chatter is a practice called danshari. Intentional, aesthetic minimalism, focusing on reducing consumption and curating possessions to what brings true joy or utility. For our purpose, we simplify this. Focus on clean sight lines. Pick one room. Ideally, the room where you spend your quietest time. The bedroom, the reading nook, or the kitchen counter where you have your morning tea. Clear 80% of the horizontal surfaces. When you look at a surface, a table, a counter, a shelf, your brain instantly registers everything on it, processes it, and assigns it a tiny sliver of energy. If there are 15 things on the counter, your brain is doing 15 microtasks just to ignore them. If there are 2 things, a book and a hot mug, your brain rests. This is the principle of Vinadakti. Clean corners. A clean corner is a visual anchor for calm. It is a space designed for silence. When you sit down, your eye lands on a restful, uncluttered space. This simple act tells your autonomic nervous system it is safe to disengage the vigilant system. Anxiety dips, focus rises. Your memory works better in a quiet, organized mental landscape. Retrieval requires focused attention. If attention is fragmented by visual noise, retrieval slows down. Action item, the silent morning ritual. For the first 30 minutes after waking, enforce auditory and visual silence. No phone screen, no news, no buzzing alerts. Just gentle morning light. Open the curtains or step outside if possible. And a deliberate focus on one simple task. This task is often making and savoring a warm drink. This is the best focus ritual. Has no phone. Instead of rushing through the morning or immediately plugging into the world's stress, you are training your brain to start the day in a state of controlled, solitary presence. This reduces cortisol spikes significantly. Take your warm tea or coffee to your clean corner. Look at the wall. Look at the light. Look at the steam rising. Don't think about the day ahead. Just absorb the moment. This is mental hygiene in its purest form. The sound plus light, rest, peace. Formula. The right sensory input acts like a volume knob for your internal alarm system. We need to dial down the alerting input and dial up the calming input. Light. Cold blue spectrum light, like bright LEDs or device screens, stimulates alertness and suppresses melatonin. This is excellent during the midday, but catastrophic in the evening. As the sun sets, shift your indoor lighting to warmer amber tones. Use dimmers. Use lamps instead of overhead lights. The transition to warm, soft light signals safety and preparation for rest. This is vital for emotional regulation, especially for managing generalized evening anxiety. Sound. Complete silence can feel oppressive, especially when living alone. We aren't aiming for sensory deprivation, but sensory control. Avoid sharp, unpredictable, high-volume sounds. These trigger the fight or flight response. Instead, introduce low, predictable, continuous sounds. White noise, brown noise, or better yet, specific natural sounds. Gentle water, distant rain. When you sit in your anti-anxiety corner, notice the noise. If the background noise is chaotic, street traffic, neighbor's TV, put on noise-canceling headphones without playing music. Just the reduction of auditory chaos is immensely therapeutic. Silence in the room sharpens the mind because it frees up processing power dedicated to filtering noise. If you must have sound, choose instrumental music, classical or jazz, without complex vocal layers. Avoid any media that involves conflict, urgency, or negativity during rest periods. This combination of controlled light and sound is your personalized sound plus light. Peace formula. Diriratach. Movement for mind, the gaze that stops overthinking. We often think of physical activity for the body, heart health, muscle mass, but simple, intentional movement is one of the most powerful stabilizers for the aging mind, particularly for reducing anxiety and improving focus. Forget high-intensity workouts if they stress you out. We are aiming for simple movements rooted in grounding and sensory feedback. The most accessible, free, and instantly effective grounding tool we have is the power of the controlled gaze during walking. When anxiety hits or when the mind is running circles, rumination, the visual field usually jumps around, processing threat and chaos. We need to override that. Slow walks with focus. Try a walking meditation, but focus primarily on your eyes. As you walk, consciously lower your gaze to about 10 to 15 feet ahead of you. Keep the gaze soft, but steady. Notice the texture of the ground, the movement of your feet, the sound of your steps. This simple act of stabilizing your gaze is a direct neurological inhibitor of the rumination circuit. When your eyes are steady and focused on near-ground reality, your brain cannot easily entertain chaotic or hypothetical future anxieties. This is better than walking for mental clarity. If you usually walk while listening to loud podcasts or looking at your phone, those activities defeat the purpose of mental grounding. We are training the brain to be present in the body's simple actions. Do this for 10 minutes. Feel the pressure of your foot meeting the ground. Notice the color of the pavement. This grounds you, pulls you out of your head, and anchors you in the now. Daily mental hygiene. Talk to yourself like this. If you live alone, or if you spend significant time in silence, you might fall into the trap of silent internal monologue that loops worries and uncertainties. We call this ruminating. Ruminating is corrosive to mental clarity and emotional strength. The simple, powerful antidote is to speak your thoughts aloud. When a stressful thought forms, did I pay that bill? I hope I don't forget X tomorrow. What if Y happens? Don't let it echo internally. Articulate it slowly, using clear sentences. Talk to yourself like this. I am worried about the bill. I will check the payment status after my tea. Articulating the thought shifts it from an amorphous, scary internal emotion to a concrete piece of data that can be managed. This externalizes the worry, allowing the logical, mature part of your brain to respond, rather than the emotional, panicked part. This practice is better than journaling. This 3-min reset. Journaling is excellent, but it requires effort and time. Speaking aloud is instant and satisfies the brain's need to structure thought logically. Do this whenever you feel the noise rising. Use your own voice to calm your own mind. Jata Pitsurantre, the 10-minute calming ritual, the anchor. This is the sequence you use when you feel scattered, anxious, or unable to focus on a task, like reading or cooking. It takes 10 minutes and uses everything we've discussed, gaze, sound, scent, and breath, to reset your autonomic system. Location. Your anti-anxiety corner. Ensure the light is warm and the sound is minimal or controlled. Tools. A comfortable chair, a hot mug of non-caffeinated tea, mint or chamomile are excellent, using scent as an anchor, and perhaps a smooth stone or object to hold. The sequence. 10 minutes guided. Y1. Posture and settling. 2 minutes. Sit upright but relaxed, feet flat on the floor, feeling the connection, grounding. Rest your hands gently on your lap. Close your eyes briefly, then open them, and immediately settle your gaze on one fixed, simple point in the room. A clean wall, the edge of the window frame, or the steam from your tea. This steady gaze inhibits internal chaos. 2. The box breath, 3 minutes. This is a simple, controlled breath that overrides the stress response. Inhale slowly for a count of 4. Hold the breath gently for a count of 4. Exhale completely for a count of 6. Pause empty for a count of 2. Repeat this rhythm. The longer exhale, to 6 seconds, activates the parasympathetic system, the rest and digest regulator. Feel the coolness of the air entering and the warmth of the air leaving. 3. Sensory anchor, 3 minutes. Pick up your warm mug. Feel the heat transfer to your hands. Inhale the scent deeply. Allow the simple sensory input of warmth, weight, and scent to dominate your awareness. If your mind wanders to a worry, gently redirect it. Warmth. Mint. Steady. Use the object or the scent as your focus phrase. 4. Mental release and focus phrase, and 2 minutes. Now gently correct your posture. If you slumped, straighten your spine, feeling grounded but alert. Mentally repeat a focus phrase that embodies your goal. I am safe. I am present. I have time. Stand up slowly. Benefit. You will feel a palpable drop in muscle tension and mental chatter. Your mind is now prepared to tackle the next task with focused attention rather than reacting from anxiety. Dirita. Clarity Foods and What to Skip Nutrition for Longevity isn't about expensive, exotic supplements. It's about stable energy delivery to prevent the emotional and cognitive volatility caused by blood sugar crashes. Forget the afternoon sugar crash. That sudden dip in energy, focus, and mood around 3 p.m. is often tied to a heavy, refined carbohydrate lunch or hidden sugars. When your blood sugar plummets after a spike, your brain panics, leading to anxiety, irritability, and cognitive slowness. Clarity Foods and What to Skip. Skip. Late caffeine after 1 p.m. It sabotages deep sleep consolidation and exacerbates anxiety later in the day. Skip. Highly processed refined sugars and flours, white bread, pastries, most commercial cereals. They cause rapid energy spikes and crashes. Do not refrigerate. These if you want brain energy. Avocados, nuts, seeds, and specific fruits like berries. You need healthy fats and fiber readily available for stabilizing snacks. Keep a small bowl of walnuts, almonds, and dried berries on your counter if you eat them quickly or easily accessible. Focus on stability. Pair protein and fiber at every meal. This slows down glucose absorption, providing steady, reliable energy for your brain throughout the day. A handful of nuts, healthy fat fiber, with a piece of cheese, protein, is an excellent mid-morning fuel that stabilizes mood. Fruit before bed for calm dreams. A small low-glycemic fruit, like a handful of cherries or a small kiwi, 30 minutes before bed can aid sleep quality. Cherries contain natural melatonin, and the small amount of natural sugar helps prevent the late-night cortisol spike that sometimes occurs when blood sugar drops too low during the night. Remember, every food choice is a vote for stability or volatility. Vote for clarity. Sleep, memory, and emotional strength. Sleep is where we repair, consolidate memory, and regulate emotion. Poor sleep guarantees heightened anxiety and poor memory retrieval the next day. We've already covered light control, warm light only, and silent mornings. But let's talk about the final few minutes before sleep. Evening. Breath. Once you're in bed, practice the 4 to 7-8 breathing technique. Inhale deeply through the nose for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for 7 seconds. Exhale completely through the mouth for 8 seconds. Repeat 5 to 10 times. This is a profound physiological tranquilizer. The silent room is critical here. Your brain needs predictable sensory input to shift into restorative cycles. If the room is filled with electronic hums or flashing lights, your brain remains subtly vigilant. Unplug devices, cover charging lights, create a haven. Emotional strength comes from rested clarity. When you sleep deeper, your ability to handle stress, retrieve memories, and maintain motivation the next day is dramatically improved. You face challenges from a position of rest, not exhaustion. Autonomy and safety. The ultimate goal of adopting these practices, curating your environment, controlling your breath, choosing stabilizing foods, is to reinforce your autonomy. You're not waiting for external fixes. You are using the powerful tools already within your control. Your attention, your breath, your environment. When you feel anxiety rising, you no longer feel helpless. You know precisely which lever to pull. The gaze, the breath, the shift in light, the clean corner. This knowledge is independence. A note on safety. These routines are designed to be gentle, supportive, and accessible. However, always respect your limits. If a movement causes pain, stop immediately. If you have chronic medical or psychological conditions, or if anxiety is severe, please consult your primary physician or a licensed mental health professional. These routines are complementary tools, not replacements for necessary medical treatment. Your challenge to regain presence. Aging with balance, presence, and independence is not a distant dream. It is a choice you make right now, in your own living room, with no cost and no complexity. The shift begins today, not tomorrow. Choose just one calming food swap. Maybe you ditch the late afternoon coffee or replace the sugary snack with a handful of walnuts and choose just one action. Take 10 minutes right now to execute the 10-minute calming ritual. Find your anti-anxiety corner, settle your gaze, and use the 4 to 6 breath rhythm. I want to hear about the shift. Tell me, what single habit will you start today for emotional strength? And what topic, movement, sleep, food, should we dive deeper into next time? Your clarity is waiting.